Hello, and welcome to The Gun Show by Mama Bear Defense. I'm Crystal Reese, your host, and The Gun Show is a show that talks about guns, in particular, the Second Amendment legislation and how to use guns for your life and protection. Just cover all of that. If you are noticing, my background is different this week. It is because my family purchased a house and we moved, and that's why I wasn't able to film a video last week. And that's why my background's different. I don't want to record at the table because it's right next to my children upstairs and I don't want to wake them up. So you're going to have to bear with me until we get our other locations set up so that I can record. And I appreciate your patience. This is the third time recording this show because I did a little practice, started speaking weird, and I deleted that one, did a second time, and it was a great show. And as it was downloading, my computer asked me to update, and I said, sure, go for it. And it deleted the entire show. So I'm really determined for you guys this week because this is a good week. There's a lot happening. I think it's important to know. So let's get into it. Lots of good news this week. I'm really excited about what's happening this week. We have multiple states fighting for constitutional carry. So, if you're not familiar with what constitutional carry, it's also known as permitless carry, and it allows you to conceal carry in a state if you are 21 and older and legally eligible to purchase a firearm, then you can conceal that firearm on your body in the locations where you could normally conceal carry. So you obviously cannot conceal carry in federal buildings, secure areas, and so forth. But any other location that you can conceal carry, then you can do it without a permit. I will go in a little bit later of my opinion on why constitutional carry is a good thing. So, the two states that are currently in the thick of it are Montana. Montana voted on the 26th. I'm going to share the screen. Tuesday. All right. Sorry for those of you. The Judiciary Committee voted 7 yes, 4 no on this bill, which is the constitutional carry bill. My interpretation is that passed the Judiciary Committee, and it can now go up to the House. So how it kind of works when a state is doing a bill is there's all these ideas that are circulating, and then it gets taken to a committee, and the committee reads it and says, is this even worth our time to present to the House? And if they say yes, then it can now be presented to the House. Usually you have to schedule a time. However, in Utah earlier this week, the Judiciary Committee said yes, their constitutional carry bill is worthwhile to be presented to the House. There was no set time for the House to vote on it. However, on the 26th, the House passed the permitless carry by a vote of 54 yes, 19 I'm guessing is no or undecided, and then 2. I can pull it up to get more details, but yeah, 54, that's an overwhelming majority voted in favor of this. So it's going to be sent to the Senate now. It is looking good for Utah with permitless carry, and I'm pretty excited for them. The current states that have constitutional carry in place already are Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri. I'm going to share the screen for you. New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. North Dakota and Wyoming, only residents can partake in their constitutional carry. But here's a little map. The black states are good to go. The red, you have to be a resident to constitutional carry. And the red are not yet freedom states. But we're looking at Utah here. We're looking at Montana. I think Indiana was in there. They're considering that. So lots of good news. I'm really excited about this because it secures our Second Amendment freedoms. Means that those states are protectors of your right. So, with that, I am going to present my argument in favor of the constitutional carry. Those of you that have been following me for a while know that I have moved a lot and that I have had the privilege of living in multiple states. So I lived in California, a state that's really stringent on their Second Amendment freedom, very restrictive. Then I lived in Utah, which is moderate, and now I live in Kansas, which is very open with their Second Amendment. So my first thought with constitutional carry is if you consider the Second Amendment, we have a right to bear arms. It does not say, "Oh, you have a right to bear arms in your house, but you can't bear arms anywhere else." Like your freedom is to protect yourself in your home, but oh no, you can't protect yourself outside of your home. That is not what that says. Our right is to protect ourselves anywhere in this country. That's how the country was designed, and that's how the Constitution was designed. So I think when you put any sort of infringements, like making people take a class to get a permit, you are limiting people's ability to protect themselves and you're infringing on that freedom. Some people are paycheck to paycheck, and just because someone may not have the financial means to pay for an additional class does not mean that they are not worthy enough to protect themselves. Here's another thing to consider. This is not a new thing. Constitutional carry is not brand new. It's not, is this the first time? We have many, many years of states that have been doing this to compare to. And statistically, those states with constitutional carry do not have a massive increase in negligent firearm accidents or discharges or murders or child deaths. There's no difference. It's not increased by constitutional carry. So, despite our natural feelings or our what our logic says, oh no, that's not safe, there's going to be problems. Well, statistically, the facts are nothing is different. It has not made things worse by allowing constitutional carry and by giving people their freedom. Lastly, what I have noticed here in Kansas is people will come to me and say, "Hey, I need to take the concealed carry class." And I'll say, "Well, you don't need the concealed carry class to conceal carry here in Kansas." And they always say, "Oh, I know. I just want to do it for myself." When you remove that line or that barrier that people consider, oh, the state says I'm prepared to conceal carry. If I sit in this 4-hour class and learn some things about a gun, now I'm ready to hide it on my body. If you remove, because the state says so, if you remove that, people start to think for themselves and they say, if I want to carry this gun on my body, to carry this gun on my body, to feel comfortable, I need to learn how to use this gun. I need to learn how to clear malfunctions. I need to learn how to properly holster drop. Like they start seeking knowledge and education versus, and I'm not going to dog on Utah because I love Utah. However, when I was in Utah, I noticed a lot of people, they would take the concealed carry class before they even owned a gun. And isn't that a little backwards? Shouldn't you purchase the gun, learn how to use the gun, get comfortable with the gun, and then the last step is to get your concealed carry permit? But instead, they're they're getting their permit as a first step, and it's flipped. So that's my arguments in favor of constitutional carry. Share your opinions, because I will state that not all mama bear trainers think like me. Some of them are very, very nervous with constitutional carry. So don't confuse us all. However, that's my argument. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing for our Second Amendment freedoms and our rights and where things are heading. So some new states that are considering constitutional carry, in addition to the ones that I listed, are Tennessee, Texas, South Carolina, Florida, and then I said Indiana, Alabama, and Georgia. Whoop, whoop. So that is a great sign for our freedoms. Speaking of our freedoms, in before Biden was elected, he said, word for word, I quote, "My first day in office, I'm going to send a bill to Congress repealing the liability protection for gun manufacturers, closing the background check loopholes and waiting period that now let too many people slip through the cracks." Despite Biden doing 19 executive orders in his first 3 days, compared to Trump's 1, Obama's 5, Bush 0, Clinton 1, he did not follow through with his promise for gun control or gun manufacturing or anything. He left it alone. And I think that's important to pay attention to, because words are one thing, actions are another. And he spoke a big game, and he even talked a big game 2 weeks ago about the NRA, but he's not doing anything. And that's good to me. That's a good sign. Run your mouth. He's our least pro Second Amendment, or the most anti Second Amendment president that we've had so far, the most vocal about it. And it's not uncomfortable. Or it is uncomfortable. That was actually the biggest reason why I was not a fan of him. There's some other aspects that I disagree with, but the main thing was the Second Amendment and my freedoms. And he has not acted upon them despite his jaw jabbing. I have listened to every single one of his speeches. You're welcome. He has not discussed, and I am paying attention. Is there gun anything? He has not discussed gun control in his speeches. I will say there's one speech that, if you're not a Biden fan, listening to this speech might make you feel a little better about him. President Biden delivers remarks on strengthening American manufacturing and signs on an executive order. This was January 25th when he gave this speech. And he really focused on Made in America, and how we need to stop having things made in China. We need to make things in America and American manufacturing. It was a really good talk. It seemed very Trump-esque to me, very Republican. It's kind of surprising to have him say that. However, like I said earlier, words are one thing, actions are another. He's saying these words. However, with his removing of the pipeline and so forth, he killed off like 50 to 70,000 jobs. So I don't know how he's going to make up for that. And that's not Second Amendment related, but I just thought most people that are super pro Second Amendment might not be pro Biden. And I think that's a good talk to maybe warm you up a little bit to Biden. Not like it super matters, but Iowa moves forward with constitutional amendment protecting rights to arms. So only 6 states do not have a state constitutional provision that protects the right to keep and bear arms. So Iowa is adding this. Looks like it's going to happen. Pass the second and third legislation. They're amending it, making it all pretty. But it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The sovereign state of Iowa affirms and recognizes this right to be a fundamental individual right. Any and all restrictions of this right shall be subject to strict scrutiny. So that's some good news. Makes me happy that some good things are happening. Actually, there's even some more good news. Kansas is voting on Wednesday, the 27th, the day when this is released, to expand their concealed carry permits to allow those who have been licensed to carry for self-defense that are 18 to 20 years of age. Like in Utah, they can conceal carry if they're 18 and older and they've taken the class. If they're 18 to 20 years of age, they can apply for the concealed carry permit in Kansas. Pretty awesome. I think if you can live by yourself and you can be in the military and you're legally an adult, you should be able to protect yourself. End of story. And once again, going back to the research, if there were problems with this, if Utah, when they passed the 18-year-olds can now conceal carry, and suddenly a bunch of 18-year-olds were dying, then we would hear about it. You would know, but that's not the case. Nothing has changed drastically. So it's a pointless law. 18-year-olds can protect themselves. There's no problem with that. Okay, the bad news, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you live in Washington, Virginia, or Maryland, there are a lot of gun control laws going on in your state, and you just need to look them up. Like, so much is happening. Senate bill for Washington, it's 5078, 5038. They're horrible, just full of crap. You need to contact your legislators. You need to make some noise because they're trying to do a carry ban and magazine ban. I mean, it's just sucky in Washington. Virginia's trying to do a bunch of new bans. It's House Bill 2295, 1992, 2231, 2276, 2081, 2128. Okay, all of those are bad. There are some good gun bills going on. 1839, 1773, 1757, 1793, and 1799 are good House bills going on in Virginia. And then Maryland, they're all just bad. So yeah, look them up, contact your legislators, figure out what's going on there. I mean, bills, like I said, they're proposed, but then they have to go judiciary committee and then they have to go on from there. So just because someone throws an idea out there doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Speaking of news, the NRA announced that they're going bankrupt. They are doing a strategic bankruptcy to change their headquarters from New York, which is extremely anti-Second Amendment, to Texas. So that's fascinating that that's happening. But I was kind of like, what? The NRA is going bankrupt, but okay, it's a strategic bankruptcy. Got it. If you play board games, you know what that is. Or if you're into business, but I'm a nerd and I do board games. The last thing that I don't know, I like to follow these hot cases. So you guys remember that St. Louis couple, the McCloskeys? Well, their prosecutor got removed and then they were ticked, Kimberly Gardner, and she was mad that she was removed and then she tried to appeal it and Missouri court said no. And then now she's taking it to the Supreme Court. So we'll see. So the conclusion is, based on the foregoing, we affirm the trial court's grant of judgment on the pleadings in favor of Gerard T. Cromartie and Gardner petition of quo warranto. So there you go. They're basically saying that she is super biased and they're removing that prosecutor. Good news for the McCloskeys. All right. I hope you guys are doing swell. I made a serious effort to get this out this week. Thank you for your patience with me, with the background, with the shakiness of the video. And I hope you are all are doing swell, and we will talk to you next week.